Hello everyone, my name is Richie and welcome back to another video. Today join me for a little bit of speculation because today we're going to talk about Train Sim World 6. So off the back of the Train Sim World 6 announcement earlier this week, I did say I was going to make a speculation video talking about what routes I want to see. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about what I want to see from Train Sim World 6. So yeah, should be a bit of fun. So let's jump into it. Of course, before we jump into the PowerPoint presentation, a massive disclaimer, this is just speculation, there is no leaks here. I know a lot of you will say, oh, you're an ambassador, you must know what's coming out. No, I ain't got a clue. So this is all just speculation and kind of like my wish list, let's say. So don't take any of this too seriously because it's all a bit of fun. But with that said, I love a bit of speculation, so get your comments down below. What do you want to see? What do you think your free core routes are going to be? And whatever Loco DLCs we're going to get with this as well. So let me know. So what do we know so far about Train Sim World 6? So what am I going to kind of predict in this? So obviously we know that Train Sim World 6 is a thing. Of course this graphic here shows that there's free routes, of course that's kind of standard, and also free Loco DLCs. So I think this is going to be very similar to previous years where we've had obviously the free core routes and then we have like a deluxe edition with like a couple of Loco DLCs. So interestingly there's going to be 3 of them. Of course, I think we're going to go on the UK, European and USA sort of route here, so that's what I'm going to talk about, one of each. We've of course got Take a Ticket returning for the Dovetail Direct, which I'm not actually going to do for this video. I'm not going to be talking about that. I might make a separate video doing like predictions for Dovetail Direct because they've mentioned like some new titles and stuff like that, so I may do that separately, but today we're just going to focus on this, the free core routes and locos. We of course also know about this Dovetail Direct, which is going to be broadcast on August the 26th, so this is going to be really exciting because this is where we'll find out all sorts of information. So yeah, make sure you've got your calendars and your alarms set for 2 o'clock on that day because you don't want to miss out on it. And that leads me to what could we see from Train Sim World 6. So obviously, like I said, free core routes, free Loco DLCs and some new game features. I think the 3 core routes are going to be a UK one, a North American one and a European one. I don't think we're going to get a German one this year, and I could be wrong, but I just feel like with them branching into Austria and the Netherlands and all that sort of stuff, I feel like they're going to utilise that somehow. So I could be completely wrong, and you never know, anything could happen. So let's see what happens with that. Of course, over previous years, we've had different editions per region. So if you just want the UK stuff, you can do that, or the German stuff, or whatever. And we're also going to get like a standard and a deluxe sort of thing, I think. Like I said, there's some Loco DLCs in this, which like similar to the Pendolino last year and the Flying Scotsman the year before. It's a really good marketing strategy, and I think it's great. Now, with that bit of information on the roadmap, with the fact that we're going to get core routes and also free Locos, I feel like obviously the Locos have got to complement the core routes. So this is where I've kind of gone with this prediction, just to kind of see what could layer in if you had additional stuff. So that's where I'm going to go with it. As for a release date, I think it's going to be somewhere around mid to late September because previous years have shown us that it usually releases around about 3 to 4 weeks after Dovetail Direct. That gives it a couple of weeks to, you know, promo the routes and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, end of September, that's what I'm hoping for anyway. So let's get into it, shall we? What are my route predictions for Train Sim World 6? So the first one, the UK route. For the UK route, I'm predicting that the North Wales main line is coming from Crewe to Llandudno Junction. So here is the route map for this prediction. Obviously you can see the route starts down here at Crewe, goes up to Chester, and then there's a few stations up to Llandudno. If I were to push it a little bit more, maybe the branch up to Llandudno itself could be a really good addition, but maybe just, you know, the mainline bit could be good enough. Now, my thought process here is that Crewe is quite a big, you know, major hub. And here, you know, it's on the West Coast main line, so you'd see the Pendolinos, the 350s. It'd be a really busy end of the line. I feel like if you started it at Chester, you know, for the sake of extending it one station, I feel like you'll see a lot more at this end. I mean, you could start it at Chester. That's also a very big area, and that's where most of the Transport for Wales stuff starts. But I just think that extra stretch is good for the included stuff I'm going to say has come to this route. So what would I want to come to the route? Obviously, we've got 153s and 150s. I think that's a good shout, to be honest. So we could utilise them. I know it would be normally 158s on the route, but you know, the 150s could basically act as the 158, and then maybe down the line, like Skyhook could make a 158 pack or something, and then just swap them out. That could be really cool. As for a piece of new rolling stock, the Class 175. Now, I would love to see these because they're just cool looking, and also I have a lot of memories on them. From memory, the 175s, they do a lot of these sort of semi-express sort of runs along the North Wales main line and pretty much all across Wales. So I think they don't run anymore, but I'm basing this off like an older timetable. So here's a bit of a breakdown of the North Wales coastline. So it'd be around about 65 miles and 9 stations. I think that is perfectly doable, very easy. Of course, it's more Welsh stuff. I feel like Cardiff City Network was just kind of like tempting us into what we could see from Wales, and obviously history has shown us that TSC, when they have like a core route a few years later, we do get that route in Train Sim World. So obviously we got North Wales coastline, obviously all the way to Holyhead in Train Sim Classic 2024. So I feel like it's the right amount of time, and it just kind of makes sense. Of course, you've got the wonderful coastline along the coastline along the route. I think it'd look absolutely spectacular. Of course, Crewe would be like a major hub and a really incredible station. You'd also got like Chester and whatever else. It'd be a really busy route. It'd be quite nice. As for the included rolling stock, I'm going to say the Transport for Wales Class 150 and 153, acting as the 158, and then the Transport for Wales Class 175. You'll notice there's one thing missing there. Stay tuned. Of course, we've got the 66 for freight as well, because we can't forget the freight. As for some layers, you could see the 323 as AI, you could see the 350s as AI, you could see the Pendolinos all at Crewe, which would be very nice. So I'm not too sure what would layer in throughout the rest of the route, but for the Crewe end, for a busier experience there, you'd see all that sort of stuff. Now for the European route, I'm going to say we're going to get a new Dutch route, because why not? I feel like maybe going to Germany might be kind of like too typical, so to kind of like surprise us, they're going to go somewhere else. It was good a couple of years ago when they did Austria as a core route. Obviously a bit of it was in Germany, but everyone was really like talking about it and everyone was excited for it. So I think that sort of method could be really good. So what Dutch route am I suggesting? The Amsterdam to Rotterdam line, or I think it's called the Old Line, that's what it's called. So I had to do a lot of research on this because I don't know many Dutch routes, so I may be incorrect with some stuff here. So if I'm wrong with anything, I do apologise. But what does this route consist of? So this route would include the ICNG, I think they call it, a very iconic train in the Netherlands. Obviously, I didn't really include a map for the route because it's kind of a difficult one, but it goes from Amsterdam via, I think it's Den Haag, and then it goes down to Rotterdam. So very cool little route there. As for some other included rolling stock, you can't go wrong with the Kooploper. Maybe some different variants, like the 4-car variant, that could be quite nice. And of course, we'd see the S&G for some commuter stuff. So, we've already got 2 pieces of rolling stock, so it'd be nice to beef it up a little bit more. So here's a bit of a breakdown of the old line from Amsterdam to Rotterdam. So it's 53 miles long and it's 18 stations. A little bit more challenging, but I feel like it's certainly doable. Of course, it's more Dutch railways, and of course, the response to Zwolle Groningen was absolutely insane. So I feel like this as a core route would be fantastic. Of course, the included rolling stock for this would be the NS ICNG, the ICM, and the SNG. So obviously, then quite a bit of Dutch rolling stock then. And as for some layers, I believe at like Amsterdam and Rotterdam, you would see Deutsche Bahn stock. I think you'd see like the ICE stock. So I could be wrong, but that would be most of your AI. Now let's hop over to America, and what USA route do I think we're going to get? The West Palm Beach line. This is a route that I really want to see in Train Sim World, so that's why I'm suggesting it. This route would run from Miami up to West Palm Beach, and it would be a really, really cool route, and also a new part of America that we've never been to before, so I think it'd be a good bit of fun. So here is the route. It starts at Miami Airport and also goes down to Miami Central, so it's kind of got like a bit of a branch thing going on. This bright line thing, stay tuned. Of course, this route goes all the way to Mangonia Park, but I'm going to end it at West Palm Beach. And the reason why I'm going to say that is because of these express stops. I'm going to elaborate, don't worry. But yeah, I think this would be a really cool route, and also there's loads of like famous places. And also, one other thing that makes me think about this is the reference in the announcement video to the 6th iteration. And we all know you're most looking forward to this 6th iteration of the game. Obviously a reference to Grand Theft Auto 6. And where is Grand Theft Auto 6 going to be? Vice City, a Miami ripoff. So is that a bit of a tease? Who knows? But that's kind of my thought process for this anyway. With it being, GTA 6, Train Sim World 6, all that sort of stuff, I just think this would be a really, really cool little nod to it. So that's my prediction anyway. As for the included rolling stock, we've got the RichyRail. I don't know what this one's called. I think this is the BL36PH or something like that. So this would be a new operator to the game, which would be very cool. And of course, going back the other way, you'd have the Rotem cab car, which are actually operated by RichyRail as well. So this is kind of what helped me with this prediction, because I spotted this image once and I thought, oh, we've already got them, so it would kind of help out a little bit to be able to reuse the Rotem cab cars. So That's what I think is going to be included. So the West Palm Beach line would cover around about 70 miles and would be 18 stations. It's pretty lengthy. It's quite far, but I think, you know, a lot of the US stuff, it's kind of very far and there's not really much going on, is there? Of course, it's Florida. It'd be a new part of the United States that we haven't covered before. They have in TS Classic, but they haven't in Train Sim World. So I think, why not? This is the perfect time to do it. This route is also in TSC and it's an absolutely fantastic route. I'll give it a good go in TSC. So obviously that one's a little bit backdated and this would be like much more of a modern version. But yeah, I think, you know, kind of like a port into Train Sim World would be awesome. As for the included rolling stock, I'm going to say that we're going to get the RichyRail BL36PH that I showed you in that screenshot and the Rotom cab cars. As for some layers, the initial bit of research I did found that CSX layers onto this, so we could see that doing some freight, which would be really nice. Of course, I've got some honourable mentions. There's a few things that I did think about as I was making this video, but I thought, you know what, I might as well include them and talk about them. So for my honourable mentions, the UK, I'm saying the South Western main line from Waterloo to Basingstoke. I think it's been a very, very long time coming to have South Western Railway in the game, and I think with the acquisition of the, it's all, you know, under government control and stuff now, isn't it? So I feel like the licensing could be a lot easier. I've often said in streams that South Western Railway is kind of like the next big one, isn't it, that we've not had. So I think we could see something still from South Western Railways. Another prediction I'm going to say is the South Wales main line. This is kind of on the basis that we've already got Cardiff in the game, so it could build on the route hopping. I know they like to do a lot of routes in the same sort of area, so that would be really good. So for that, I'd say Bristol to Swansea, which would be quite lengthy to be fair, but it'd be like a proper main line, and it also could use the 150s and the 153s and whatever else, and would still have the 175s too. As for the USA, I'm going to say the New Haven line. I think that's a little less likely because of the whole MTA, you know, permanent safety system sort of thing. Could be a little less likely, but that is a route that I know a lot of people want to see. And also for a USA route, why not a bit of New York City subway? That would be sick. I think that would be a great thing to see. It'd be very similar to like the Bakerloo line or like the underground lines or whatever, but I think that'd be a really nice, you know, sort of thing we delve into. Of course, for mainland Europe, we're going to probably see some German stuff, and, you know, who knows what's going to happen, but the two routes I'd like to see is the Philstarbahn. This is one that I suggested last year, actually, and I quite like the look of, so that could be another good one. And of course, maybe something like Berlin S-Bahn or the U-Bahn or something like that, so a route in Berlin would be really, really cool. Now let's talk about the Loco DLCs and the Deluxe edition or whatever it's going to be. So obviously we saw that there was going to be 3 Locos added onto the roadmap. So I'm going to say for this, we're going to get 3 Locos that are going to complement the 3 routes I've just mentioned. And a lot of you probably have cottoned on to what I'm going to say here. So what am I going to predict for this? Well, for the North Wales coastline, it's got to be an Avanti West Coast Voyager, hasn't it? You can't have the North Wales coastline without this. I feel like a Voyager of some kind has been a long time coming, and with the Avanti West Coast licence and how long they've had it, and also, you know, they've got Transport for Wales now, this would be a really nice addition. I just think it makes sense. Of course, having the Voyagers in the game would open the door to potentially seeing a cross-country one, like, you know, Rivet using the 170 to make a cross-country 170, so hopefully down the line we could see that as well, but I think for this one we'd see an Avanti West Coast one, because that would complement the route really nicely. For the Dutch route, I'm going to say this, the Worm, which is a really famous train in the Netherlands. Pretty much every single route suggestion I see includes this, so I think this would be a great one to choose. And of course, as I hinted to earlier, Brightline, I think we'd see this on the West Palm Beach line. It'd be a really, really cool addition, and it's a relatively new operator, and they operate all sorts of places now across Florida, so it could maybe open the door for another Florida route, which would be really cool. So now that we've talked a little bit about the routes and the Locos, what sort of core features could we see? Now with the core features, this has been really difficult to predict because they could do anything. Anything's possible, isn't it? There's no hints to what they could do as a core feature, and every single time we've had core updates, we don't even know or have any indication what's going to happen. Obviously with like routes and Locos, we can kind of guess with what licenses they've got, but it's kind of just like anything could happen. So with that said, let's have a little look at what I'm going to predict for the core features. So normally we have 3 or 4 core features. Obviously 1 or 2 of them usually build on what we already have, so that's what I've done here. So starting off with some improved features, I'm going to say route hopping 2.0 would be really cool. Of course, it was a very, very popular feature in Train Sim World 5, and I feel like expanding on it could be a really good idea. How could they improve route hopping? Maybe some better transitions, you know, maybe like when you go through a route hopping point, it sort of like does like a cool little sound or a bing bong, or like you're going through some doors, or there's like a sound, like a train sound or something. I could think it'd be really cool instead of it just being a loading screen. I also think maybe having transitions at like actual doors, so as if like you are going to have to go through a door to get to another place, would be really cool. Another feature I think they could improve on is guard mode. Now guard mode was again really popular, but I feel like there's a lot of stuff they missed with it, and I feel like there's a lot more room for it to grow. One key thing I think about is more ticket types. So you know, when you've got first class sections, you have to go into the first class and make sure it is a first class ticket and it's a different design, and obviously second class tickets, and making sure like they're on the right time train and all them sorts of things. Silly little things as well, like when you get a train in the UK, most of them say like Northern only or LNER only. I think things like that. So like for example, if someone's got a ticket to Birmingham or wherever, but they're on a LNWR service on the West Coast Main Line, but they should be on the Pendolino, I think like silly little things like that could be cool. Another one as well is that if any passengers stay on your train after you've rejected their ticket, you actually have to go up to them at the next station and say, "Or you get off the train." Like there's a little prompt saying this person should have got off the train. Click on them, and you'd have a bit of dialogue with them. You know, actually boot them off the train. I think it'd be really fun. As for some new features, I think random events is a very, very big one that a lot of people want. Obviously, we've seen Subway Sim 2 do it. Transport Fever are talking about doing it. Pretty much most railway-focused games have random events. The only one that doesn't is Train Sim World, and I think implementing that into the timetable mode would be fantastic. You know, things like falling trees could be good, adverse signals, having to skip stations, train delays. There's so much like stuff they could do, and I feel like it'd be such a revolutionary feature that it's just kind of like a no-brainer at this point. And the final feature is more like a personal wish list one, but like a timetable creator. Now by that I mean not scenario planner, I mean like, do you know when you see all the screenshots on the roadmaps of how they like make the timetables? Maybe something like that where we could do our own timetables, which would be really cool. And I mainly say that for like the console players, because obviously you've got timetable mods, and this is what I think is fantastic. Like loads and loads of timetable mods are available for PC players. Having a way that you could create it and put it on the Creators Club so that PlayStation players could do it would be really, really cool. I think it'd be fantastic. And that is pretty much it. That is all my core route, logo and feature predictions for Train Sim World 6. There's a lot of stuff I feel like is very far-fetched that I've predicted, but there's some stuff that, you know, if you think about it, could be very feasible. So that's what I think anyway, but what do you think? Let me know in the comments. Of course, like I said at the beginning, take all of this with a massive, massive pinch of salt. A whole bag of salt, because this is all just speculation. This is all just, you know, what I kind of want to see. But, like I say, let me know what you think, because it's really interesting to see what other people want to see. But that leaves me to say, we've obviously got a few more weeks to wait until we find out what's coming. So until then, let's keep speculating, because it's a lot of fun. And I may even make a separate video talking about Dovetail Direct as a whole. Who knows? We'll see. Anyway, with all that said, that was my core predictions for Train Sim World 6. So, thank you all for watching this video. I've been Richie, and I'll hopefully see you all next time. Bye bye.